All right, welcome, Loudon Soccer goalkeepers, parents, and there may even be a few field players attending the Zoom meeting, which is great. Thank you for your interest. My name is Dave Buchero. I'm the director of goalkeeping here at Loudon Soccer, and as well as the director of college placement. And this is our goalkeeper union roundtable discussion. Joining me this evening are two former Loudon Soccer goalkeepers and current college goalkeepers, Riley Fitzpatrick and Jeff Gates, who I will get to in a minute here. Just a couple things. This Zoom meeting is being recorded for anybody that has to leave early or anybody that misses this meeting. It is recorded, and we will be posting it to our website so everybody can view it at a later time. The format of the discussion tonight is I'm going to be chatting with both Riley and Jeff and talking a little bit about their youth experience, their experience as a goalkeeper growing up and playing with Loudon Soccer, and then talking to them a little bit about their college soccer experience and some of the challenges that they faced and some other aspects of college soccer compared to club soccer. And then at the very end, I will open it up to everybody on the Zoom call. If anybody has any questions, you can type in your questions, and both Riley and Jeff will answer those questions at the end. So as I mentioned, Riley Fitzpatrick played for the 04-03 ECNL team, where she earned first team Mid-Atlantic Conference honors in the ECNL. She just finished her first year playing at Northwestern University, where she started 7 games, helped Northeastern start the season undefeated, and ultimately helped them have a record-breaking year this year for that program, winning 16 games and advancing to the NCAA tournament final 16. Jeff Gates is a little bit older than Riley. He is a senior currently at Longwood University. He played with our 01 Red Loudon Soccer team. This past year, he played in 5 games for Longwood, including their last game of the year, where he played every minute and helped them in a big win over George Washington University. He is actually coming back for his 5th year to graduate next year, and does have 1 year left of eligibility, so he will be playing next year as well. So I want to thank them, first of all, Jeff and Riley, for your time. They are both, as you can see, connected to this meeting from a dorm room and then an off-campus apartment, and they've started their 2nd semester and started up with soccer, so they're quite busy, and I really appreciate them taking a little bit of time to join our club again and talk a little bit about their experience. And I think hopefully everybody will enjoy their words and learn a couple things about their goalkeeping, as well as what it's like to be a college goalkeeper as well. Riley, why don't you talk a little bit about this past season? I touched on it, and same thing with you, Jeff, but just talk a little bit about your seasons and how it went for you guys individually.
So for me, there were a couple ups and downs. I kind of went in and I ended up like from the first kind of preseason game starting and playing the first half. We had a grad transfer, and her and I kind of played 50-50, where I would start the first half and then she would play second half. And then once we got into Big Ten play, we were still kind of doing that. We were super successful. We were ranked 5th in the country, which was the highest our team had ever been ranked. And then kind of the week following that, I ended up tearing my UCL in my hand during just a regular practice. And I ended up needing surgery about a week later, and it was kind of a season-ending injury, unfortunately, as a goalkeeper. But I was still able to travel with the team, help in every way that I could. Still be a part of everything. And we had a really great run in the NCAA tournament. We made it to the Sweet 16. We did really well, and we ended up losing to UCLA, who were the champs. So it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's great, Riley. And we're following you, and yeah, I'm sure it's tough to top that in your first year in college soccer to be a part of the NCAA tournament and get as far as you did. So congrats again to you and your team. Jeff, what about you?
Last season, it was good for me. There were ups and downs as well. In the beginning, I got to travel a bit. I think we traveled to like ETSU, played Duke, and even Tech. So I got in some games against Duke. I played a half there. And then even Tech, I played a half against them as well. And and then George Washington was our senior night, which I played 90 and was grateful to get that whole game, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of learning experiences. We had a graduate student come in, and he played majority of the games, but traveling in and out and competing for the spots. We all, especially with our goalkeeper union, we all learned and kind of strive together to try to get to our spots. But yeah, it was good.
That's great. We're going to talk in a little bit about your college experiences and get into that more. But what I want to start with right now is just going back a while to your youth experience when each of you both started as a goalkeeper. If you can remember, what drew you to the goalkeeper position? Why did you become interested and start being a goalkeeper? And what were some things or were there any things that you really didn't like about goalkeeping?
I would say that I've been playing goalkeeper since I've played soccer. There's no other position I would want to play, even now. I loved being in control of the game, I think. And that's been an aspect of the game that I still love. It's kind of like all up to you, and I really enjoy that type of pressure. And I just love everything about the position. So, yeah.
Very good. Jeff?
I started a bit differently from what I can remember for playing for Loudon. I started as a forward. I was a little smaller growing up and still am as a goalkeeper. I played for our D team and played for them for quite a bit. And I think started my goalkeeper career or path is where we got beat pretty bad and one of our goalkeepers quit. It was at the age where everybody kind of rotated and I got stuck in net. And then that I seem to enjoy it because I can kind of just do what I want, jump around, have some fun, do things differently with their hands and everything. And then we played against our B team, I think. We'd always compete with them. And I think there was a game where I made some save and then our A team coach, I think it was Maurice at the time, he noticed it. And then I got picked up from there and it just took off. But now from now, I wouldn't change anything. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I like to get on the field a bit with our other players and try to play striker a bit and just shoot some goals, why not? But yeah, I wouldn't change it. I love being in control, trying to communicate with everybody, try to build everyone up. Kind of starts from there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I remember both of you training and both of you have a strong passion for not only soccer, but goalkeeping. And you both seem to love goalkeeping practice. And you've accomplished a lot, obviously both playing at Division I college programs. Were there things that you were doing away from your club practice with goalkeeping? Did you train on your own? Did you have other goalkeeper coaches? Did you work out in the gym? What are some things that helped you continue to develop throughout your youth years outside of playing with your club team?
I definitely I did a lot of extra training. I was always trying to play as much goalkeeper as possible. I still am. I would do extra goalie training, extra practice. I loved going out to the field with a couple friends, with my parents, just having people shoot on me. I'd go play pickup with anybody. I just loved being around the sport, and I still do. And I think that that's a really big thing. I think getting as many touches on the ball, playing whenever and wherever you can is really important. I also like go to the gym, lifting, I play basketball, just kind of like trying to be all around like the best athlete that you can be, I think is also really helpful, especially at a young age when things might not be super technical or tactical yet. Just kind of being the best athlete and soccer player that you can be.
Great, Jeff?
For me, growing up, yes, there was a lot of extra training, especially with Dave, and getting into Loudon goalkeeper trainings. But my brother also played for a separate team as well, and I would go over there and they would put me in net because why not? And he was older, so I got to play with the older kids or just try to get your foot in the door, try to talk to some other older players or different teams as well, and get some shots in, or at least get some extra training, or since there's field players, try to get some more touches on the ball, of course. As I've gotten older, the gym has definitely come in a big play into my life as well. In the beginning, I didn't really like it, but now it's a big hobby of mine. It's always been a good part. But with my teammates, we would always go out. There would always be extra time shooting or trying to set up drills or just trying to find friends in other schools or do anything that we can. Even though it wasn't most ideal weather all the time, especially in Northern Virginia and Loudon. The weather's not even the greatest, especially right now, but it didn't really stop us. Even when there was snow on the field at LSP, sorry, Dave, but we've brought shovels before and shoveled off the snow because you guys wouldn't. If the field was closed, and we've stuck on and got our trainings in. But those times were definitely one of our best highlights or one of my biggest memories of playing for Loudon.
It's great. So, you know, in the modern game with goalkeeping, playing with your feet is something that has become very important in the last 10 years. Being comfortable with the ball at your feet, being able to strike the ball over distance, being able to help your team keep possession and build out of the back through the goalkeeper is something that's important. And it's something that we've tried to spend more time on in the Goalkeeper Academy is playing with the goalkeepers playing with their feet and their ability to strike the ball. For each of you, do you feel that's an area that you're stronger in, or maybe a little bit weaker in, and how do you work on it, or how have you worked on it when you were a younger goalkeeper to develop those foot skills?
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think that playing with your feet, playing out of the back, being an option for your teammates has become huge. It's also one of my favorite parts of playing. I think that it's something that has become a strength of mine in the past couple of years, but I know that when I was younger, it definitely wasn't. I think a big way to kind of work on it and just kind of continue to get better at it is to kind of constantly try to like be practicing with your team. You're, you know, stepping into passing drill, stepping into any type of drill that you can kind of be a part of, as well as watching a lot of soccer, especially right now. So many of the modern goalkeepers, like you can learn so much just from watching how their angles are, and their like supporting angles are kind of changing constantly with the game. I think that that's huge. And that's like a really great way to just kind of like see how you should be playing. I think being like really aggressive and like trying to step up when you're playing in like small sided games is also really helpful. It can kind of relate to playing on like a big 11v11 field when you're just kind of constantly being a part of the game and staying connected with your back line. That's really helpful.
Jeff?
When I was growing up, my foundation with my feet weren't the greatest. So I won't say that I was the best when I was younger with my feet. But coming to Longwood with our team, we are very, very focused on building from the back. It's one of our biggest things. We like to connect to our center mids or center defensive mids to the point where we goalkeepers almost act as a center back when we're possessing. We don't play long a lot of the times. I can't remember really the last time that I've punted, or the only time I'll get a pass back and maybe do a ping or a longer range pass to my teammates to out wide. But a lot of the times it's passing back and forth. And to get better at it in the beginning, coming even here, it's been an adjustment. It's stressful because it's like now all the pressure's on me. I have it at my feet and I got to make sure that we keep it. So a lot of the times we'll interpret a bunch of passing drills. Yes, with our hands, it's important. We always need to be tactical with our hands, but coming into college, the feet it's been more important than I think I've ever really realized. Changing a lot of the way that we have to think on how we play or how we want the ball. Now I love it. I want the ball at my feet. I want to get the passes. But like today, we had a bit of small sided, and I got my games in as a keeper. But I would say about half of the time I wanted to be a neutral or at least play forward or do anything that I can try to help on my feet, especially coming from break, getting back with the boys and doing everything. But yes, passing and everything with the feet, playing to the back has been very important for us.
I'm sure it's been a jump for both of you as well with the speed of play. The pressure comes faster, so you've had to adjust your game and play quicker compared to coming from the club level, which makes it tough. Is there one memorable save during your time with your Loudoun teams, or one memorable moment as a goalkeeper that you can recall, and can you describe that, Riley?
I would say there was, I believe we were playing McLean, and I had a penalty kick save against them my junior year. And it was like I can still remember every detail to this day. I know exactly which girl took it. And I know exactly which one were her parents. I remember just like everything that happened, diving to my right. I think Jackie cleared the ball afterwards. It was just like, that's one save that's probably going to live with me for the rest of my life. And yeah, it was pretty cool. We won that game. So
Yeah, I remember it. Jeff, what about you?
So the game that I talked about earlier, how our A-team coach noticed me when I was playing for Silver, I think that would probably be my most memorable when we were playing against our own B team. I think we tied our own B team at that time, but it was a shot from the top and it was just a low diving save to the left. And again, I was young. I want to say at least maybe, oh man, I want to say the fourth grade or so, something like that. So I was young. It was obviously young for my age or at that time to do so. And I don't think a lot of, at least our keepers at that time were, doing diving saves or whatever at that age, especially on a Silva team at that time at least. But yeah, that will always stick with me. That's what kind of started my whole path, my whole journey.
Very good. So turning to your college years again, can you talk about the recruiting process, each of you, what other schools you considered, and how you ultimately chose the school that you're at, and if you have any advice for some of our older goalkeepers that are listening right now in terms of the recruiting process and just things that they should be doing.
So my recruiting process was, I think, a little bit different. It was during COVID, so there was a ton of dead periods. Everything was done online through Zoom, phone calls, FaceTime. I remember doing an ECNL showcase, completely videotaping everything because no college coaches could come. So I feel like there was definitely some different things happening during my recruiting process that hopefully will never happen again. But I think a big thing was just like definitely like first impressions, being very like professional with everything, every opportunity to like meet coaches or be like in front of coaches, kind of putting your best foot forward and trying to be like as professional and everything as possible. I think that's really important, just kind of looking at it from the other side. Like everyone's so good. It's like the little things that you're doing outside of like soccer that are kind of what are really separating people. Some of the other schools that I was looking at were schools in the Big Ten, Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa. Those were some of the other schools I was talking to. I'd say a big part of me kind of choosing Northwestern was the goalkeeper coach. My coach, Morgan, she's phenomenal. When I hurt my hand and I was actually in a cast one-handed, she was over here finding goalkeeper drills for me to do, either with my feet or with a hand behind my back, or just really creative and finding ways to still incorporate me into our goalkeeper union and still training and trying to make myself better, even though I was kind of down a hand. So I would say that she was a big part of me choosing Northwestern, as well as just academics and athletics. It's a great mix for me. It's perfect. It's challenging in both aspects, and it's a good competitive environment. So yeah.
That's good, Riley. I think you make some good points about the character piece, the little things, like you said. We just had a college ID camp, and many of the coaches bring that up. Yes, you have to have talent, but the college coaches want good, hardworking people, and people that are going to be respectful and have good character. And so I think you make a good point, because it is a very important piece, and it is what many college coaches look for their program. They want quality people that are going to add to the team chemistry. Jeff, talk a little bit about your recruiting experience.
My recruiting experience, I just remember it was very long and very taxing. I always wondered what it was during COVID about recruiting, because even here we've been done. So we're how is it now? How are we going to recruit? How are we going to go see people? So, but for myself, it was a lot of emails, constantly emailing and making the videos, your little highlight tapes and everything from high school and club. But for me, again, I'm a short goalkeeper. Even now, I'm about 5'9". I'm not a 6-foot guy. I don't cover the whole goal, so I have to be a bit quicker. And a lot of college coaches in older, bigger schools, they'll see me and they'll pass up just because I'm shorter. But I always try to stand out a little bit different from I can, or even the small things, like Riley was saying. For me, for my recruiting process, I would make little flyers or pieces of paper that say my stats, my GPA, who do I play for, which tournaments or games I'll be at in the future, and then even my achievements. And go into ID camps or college camps, I would go up to the head coach or the assistant, whoever was there, shake their hand, look at them in the eye, introduce yourself, and be I will be on this field, or I'm interested in your school. I would like you to have this, and try to get your foot in the door so they know your name formally. They know that you're confident enough to come up. In the beginning, I was quite nervous. I would have even my parents be like, come on, go ahead. Tell me to go do it. So I didn't really like it that much. But towards the end, I got more comfortable. We're fine doing it. I do suggest doing that, or trying to do something like that. Go to the coach, each one, give them a firm handshake, say hello, even to the schools that you don't like. It's fine. But doing the emails, I remember I would have my little practice emails, fill in the blanks, send them to each one, and then whichever one I was more particular of, or more interested in, give them a little bit more personal. I would always talk about education first, especially see what you're more interested in. And then even here, for us, we talk about student athletes, how you're a student first, and then the athlete comes. So always make sure your school works on frame. But I chose Longwood specifically. My brother also went here as well. He came here 2 years before I did. So I came in as him being a junior. So I was very familiar with the school. I already knew the coach quite well. He was a very family guy, very personal. He cared a lot about character and how you cared about the whole team in general before you cared about yourself. So that's what we look at before anything, is if the guys coming in or people coming in, do we like them on a personal level before we like them on a soccer level? Because again, we'll be with each other for hours and hours. But here, it kind of looks like downtown Farmville, where I'm at. It looks like downtown Leesburg, so it's kind of homey. seems about the same. It's kind of a little strip, and you have all your unique shops and everything. But that's kind of how I came here.
Very good. Yes, being proactive in the recruiting process, very important. Again, very good advice from you as well, Jeff. As a goalkeeper, what are some of the challenges at the college level, on or even off the field as a student athlete? Riley, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so it's definitely it was an adjustment coming here. I came pretty early into my summer, so I was here about a month before preseason even started, and I think that was huge. And just having kind of a month buffer of getting to kind of figure out what college soccer was like before actually starting preseason and talking about having games and everything like that. It's quicker. No matter how hard you think your friends can shoot the ball or guys can shoot the ball, people can shoot the ball harder in college. And it's kind of just figuring out like how you're going to adjust to that. And just it's just kind of playing soccer at a whole different level. In your mind, sometimes you're thinking like, all right, it's kind of changing this perspective of catching the ball to like parrying the ball and where are you going to put it versus like, I'm going to hold everything, because there's just going to be some that you're not going to be able to hold the ball. So I think that was definitely something that I kind of struggled with, was just personally figuring that out. It's just faster, quicker, people are stronger, bigger, they're more aggressive. So you just kind of have to continue to like rise to the occasion and keep putting yourself in the best position possible to kind of outwit them or play to your strengths more so than theirs, because everyone's kind of got their niche thing that they're good at, and you kind of want to dial in and like focus on yours. I would say for like student athlete, figuring out the balance my like freshman year, it's been interesting. It still is. It definitely takes a lot. School is definitely more challenging, just kind of finding time for everything. But I know that like they're definitely trying to make sure that like you're putting your studies first and you're putting school first and you're focusing on classes and just making sure to get everything done. So as long as like you're organized and balanced, you'll figure it out.
Jeff, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the things that I improved, I would say a lot of mental. I mean, over the years we talk about how like mental health or even the mental side of playing sports and everything, it's been quite taxing. I'm trying to think. Can you say the question one more time? I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. College soccer, what are some things that are the biggest challenge for you as far as playing in college?
Okay. Coming in, you're from your area or from your team. And for me, coming in, I was like, all right, I'm a great shot stopper or whatever when I was young. And then coming here, I was like, oh, feet is very important. So I realized that even my strengths was not too needed, especially with, I mean, don't get me wrong, saving a shot, it's our job. But coming in, playing with our feet was very big, at least at Longwood, at least from here. So that would have to be an improvement or a realization that I would need to get better. And that kind of shocked me a little bit, that coming from my team, I had this ego of like, I had this idea that I'm like the best in my field, in my area, or from my high school, whatever, for all my years. And then coming here, I'm like, I'm iffy. So that changed like my mental thought of like how I was as a player, and I didn't really know how to adjust. So it was a bit of a battle. I mean, even now, I mean, I'm doing well now. I enjoy every bit that I can, but there is some adjustments that I had to do about my own self and how I wanted to train or how I wanted to look at myself to improve. And then outside of the field, when it came to the classroom, I struggled in high school and everything in school with my grades or even in learning. I have ADHD, so it was kind of hard for me to focus on my classes or focus on whatever I was learning. I was a bit slow in my class, but now I had to figure out my own study tips, how I wanted to sit down, how can I take notes, even though I wasn't the best. I never took notes in high school, but now it's been a big part in trying to learn and get everything down. And I don't know how many hours, I think it's 20 hours a week in season that you were playing and in training and everything. And then on top of that, you have 12 to 16, 20 hours of classes. So trying to figure out in a 40-week schedule, how can you fill in extra time to train, even with your other teammates, or even to hit the books and get your studies in when all you want to do is just come home and relax. That has been trying to get a grasp of that and be self-centered and sacrifice a couple of things in order to get that stuff done that you need to. That's been a big improvement and a struggle.
Good. Yep. Most rosters at the college level have 3 and sometimes 4 goalkeepers on the roster. That must be challenging to keep those relationships with teammates who you're training with on a daily basis. How challenging is it, and how do you maintain good relationships when you're competing with these other goalkeepers and you're fighting for the starting position and for playing time?
It was definitely a adjustment for me. I'm a very competitive person just naturally in everything I do. And to be like put into a position where like the 3 or 2 people that you're spending the most time with all the time are like the other goalkeepers on your team, basically, you're always training together, you're just eating together, you're doing everything together. So it was definitely an adjustment for me to kind of get used to this new dynamic. But I think something that like helped me was that I kind of looked at it as like I'm competing with them, not against them. Like I'm competing with them to help our team do the best that we can possibly do. And just kind of like, especially once I got hurt, kind of stepping into this role of like, okay, I want to sit there and make the other goalies better so that our team does better, so that we can move on and make it further in the NCAA championship, was kind of how I had to look at my role. Things were obviously different before I got hurt. It was kind of like me and a grad senior, so there was almost a 5-year difference between us at one point of the season because I was still 17. So it was definitely just hard because both the goalies were substantially older than me, and kind of coming in, I felt like I didn't know what to talk about, or I didn't know what to say, or I didn't know, like there was a lot that we just couldn't even relate to. And goalkeeping was kind of the only thing that we did have in common. So that kind of helped me like build relationships with them in kind of like a new way. So yeah.
And for you, Jeff?
It was, so coming in, unfortunately we did not have a goalkeeper coach at the time. So we had 3 keepers my sophomore year. So our starting goalkeeper was, I think, a senior, and he stayed over for his 5th year due to COVID. But we looked at him as our mentor. He was our coach. He had the most knowledge, so we kind of had to adjust to that. Coming in again, being my freshman self, thinking or coming from a club team or high school team that I thought I was good, or I was being told things coming in that I would play, and then not. So that was an adjustment for that. But I had to look at our head goalkeeper coach or head goalkeeper and look at him as my coach, even though he's my competition. It was at first we had to be friends, and we spend so much time together, especially as keepers here at Longwood. So we're all very, very close, and we focus on culture. Again, like last year or this past year, we've had 4 or 5 goalkeepers. I think we have 5. And at the time we did have a goalkeeper coach, she taught us that we all have roles. There's a number 1, there's a number 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. The number 1 and 2, they would be training, they would be getting reps. And then the 3rd, he would get a couple reps, do whatever. And then if we had time, and then 4 and 5, they would not. So, excuse me. But having or anyone being at that point, it's hard to have a relationship or a friendship when you don't get reps or that you're not playing or doing whatever. But at the end, we all would sit around and kind of talk, see what's bothering us, what struggles, what do we want to work on, and we'll do it in the future. Outside, we didn't really like the no rep rule, so we would take our time and go outside and try to get those trainings or fill in the things that people want to do. But it is a struggle, having multiple goalkeepers, but not playing or someone being in front of you, especially being a competitive person or coming from a field where you used to always play. But we spend so much time together yet again, so we play. You adjust quite well, at least for me.
And for all our goalkeepers, younger ones and ones that are a little bit older in high school that are viewing this, what would be your advice for those goalkeepers that have aspirations to play in college? They want to be the best goalkeeper they can be. They want to improve. What would be your advice for them to reach those goals?
I mean, I would definitely say that, like, if you put your mind to something, there's nothing that's going to stop you. I just think that, like, continuing to work hard and continuing to put yourself in the best positions possible is going to get you, like, the furthest that it possibly can. I think, setting really high goals for yourself and, like, accomplishing them, doing the little things correctly every single day are going to be what really get you places. I think also something that I've just loved is watching soccer. It's how you can, like, just get better and get smarter, which at the end of the day is what really separates goalkeepers is being a smart goalkeeper. So I think just kind of being around soccer as much as possible, playing soccer as much as possible, watching soccer, loving soccer is going to be what really separates you and is what really gets you. Because if you do all those things, there should be nothing holding you back.
Jeff?
I would have to agree. So a lot of the times with spending more time on the ball or sacrificing your time playing or get some time off video games or doing whatever and going out and trying to play a little bit more, do the extra step, or figure out if you can get more training with your coaches, or reach out to Dave and see if there's any practices that you can join in, or doing whatever you can if you want to play a little bit more, or spending another 30 minutes, 45 minutes sending emails or writing up a draft email to other schools. Doing just the little bits can set you apart by a mile. I think that's very important.
That's great. And as I said in the beginning, you two, I can remember clearly, were very passionate and extremely hardworking in every exercise that we did, taking it seriously but having fun at the same time. And I know that's a big part of why you are where you're at right now. I have one more question before I kind of open it up to the group. Superstitions. This is a fun question. Do each of you have any superstitions in warm-ups or before the game? Is there something that you do in every pregame warm-up? A lot of goalkeepers are funny that way, so I thought that'd be a good question. Riley.
So there isn't really anything that I do during the warm-up, I would say, that's like a superstition. There's a lot of things that on game days I have to do very specifically. There's also a lot of things that I'm not allowed to have on game days or do or just be around. I have to do my hair a certain way. It always has to be in a braid, and I'm not allowed to use a scrunchie, which is really specific. But yeah, there's a lot of things there's a lot of niche things that I do on game days that are probably never going to change, but are just super specific to me. So.
Okay, and Jeff?
I don't really have superstition or anything. I just know before games, if I have class, I mean, that's a different story, but on weekends, try to get the vibes right with all my teammates. I bring the speakers to our locker room and whatever game, so I always try to get the music right. I love music. That's usually what I'm doing in my free time, just listening to music whenever I can. So trying to get the boys like dancing or something. Try to have some fun, put some smiles on people's faces, get some head nodding. But that's it.
Okay, very good. So I have two questions. One that was sent to me this afternoon because this goalkeeper could not attend. And then we have one question that I'm going to look at in a second. But anyone else that wants to ask a question for either Jeff or Riley, just type your question in. So the first question, Riley, why don't you take this one? What is your advice for a high school goalkeeper as far as physical training to be in the best shape playing in college?
So I definitely think that fitness is very important just in general for soccer players. And it doesn't really change as a goalkeeper. I think that you can always kind of be doing extra things. I know that I would run all the time if it was the day after a game or doing something like that, just to kind of stay like fit for myself. But also just like as a goalkeeper, I feel like during training, like you do a lot of goalkeeper fitness, which is very important. And kind of trying to focus on more like interval stuff, because it's not like you're going to be asked to sit there and run like 10 miles a game like some midfielder or something. So it's more important for you to be like sharp when you are called upon, and being able to be sharp multiple times during a game and kind of fully recover in that time in between. That's going to really be beneficial for you like as a goalie. I think also just, like lifting, getting stronger. You want to be aggressive, like working on your vertical so that you're being able to like jump higher, and like not get pushed off the ball when you're going up for a challenge. So just kind of working on those things to make yourself, as athletic and ready as possible.
Okay, great. Next question, do you have any recommendations on summer training camps around here? Well, I will start answering that question. We do have summer programs at Loudoun. We do have a summer goalkeeping program that's held on Wednesday nights in the summer. And those are hour sessions. And then we also have an elite goalkeeper camp that's 4 days long and runs from 9 to 3:30. And all that information is on the website. So there are definitely some options here with Loudoun Soccer as far as summer training for goalkeepers. But if anybody out there has any other questions about camps, feel free to reach out to me directly. The next question is, Jeff, why don't you take this one? Have you ever missed a shot passed back to you?
By like shot pass back, do you mean like just normal pass back?
Yes.
I remember in club there was a bouncing ball. We were playing at Bowling, field 12. It scars me to this day. I can remember it. But there was a bouncing ball and I completely whiffed it. I remember I completely whiffed it. But luckily enough, it was bouncing just right in front of me. It wasn't coming back exactly. But I had enough time just to turn around and just swing at it again and just get it out. It scared me, but I was like, all right, done with, we can breathe. But I know I definitely got a little side eye from my coach, and he was like, he was not the happiest, but it was all good. But yes, it has happened before. It has happened.
I think we've all seen the videos of professional goalkeepers and national team goalkeepers having crazy goals going on them and terrible goalkeepers errors. And we even saw that in the recent World Cup. It happens at the highest level. And I think the best goalkeepers are the ones that bounce back from those errors, which leads me to the next question here. And Riley, why don't you take this one? How do you keep mentally strong in goalkeeping?
That's a good question. That's a hard one. I think that there's definitely some moments where, there can be a lot of pressure, B, things can just kind of be going not your way. I think that that's something that like every goalkeeper can kind of relate to or has struggled with before. I know something that kind of always helped me, and especially kind of moving into college where things are just a lot tougher because sometimes you're just having a terrible day during practice or something happened in a game and you had a mistake. And so a big part of me, like something that I always told myself was like, the mistake doesn't really matter, but it's what you do right afterwards that's going to leave an impression. So one thing that really helps me kind of get through, like, if I made a mistake during practice or during a game, like the next thing that I did, I told myself had to be like, you had to kind of make up for it, or you had to bounce back in like a positive light. Like you can't go back and change the past. You can only kind of focus on what you're going to do differently now.
Good thoughts, really good thoughts. Next question, either of you can take it. I know, Riley, you mentioned you did another sport, but the question is, did you only focus on soccer? And if you did play another sport, when and how did you choose?
So I played basketball until like my sophomore year of high school, I think. That was when things kind of got more competitive and serious with soccer and the recruiting process, and I was traveling more and it just kind of wasn't working out. I think that playing other sports is great, especially in the winter when things kind of slow down a little bit. And at a younger age, like when you're not traveling quite as much, I think playing other sports is really fun. I think it helps you just kind of overall just be a better athlete, which is only going to help you. I would say that I chose soccer because I love soccer and I love goalkeeping. And basketball was kind of like a hobby. So.
Great, thanks. Jeff, next question. When did you get comfortable using your voice and taking command vocally as a goalkeeper?
I would say I know my voice definitely kind of stuck out when I was younger, coming in youth, of just speaking and everything. I think it would have to come from my dad, kind of either watching or talking to him about how he used to play baseball. He was a catcher when he grew up and played college baseball as well. And coming here and now watching a couple baseball games, seeing how a catcher is kind of almost like, I would put in my words, the goalkeeper of baseball. He's sitting back there, he can see everything, just like us goalkeepers. We can see the whole field, we can see everything. So there's a fly ball, there's a top ball, and he's out there directing, saying where it's coming, while his teammate is looking up in the sky trying to catch it. They're directing. So coming from him, of him telling me how I need to use my voice or try to be a bit more brave, or if something wrong happens on the field, it kind of gets pointed back at us. It's kind of like, it's easy to point a finger at a goalkeeper being like, why didn't you save that? Why didn't you do this? But growing up, I've also been told that it goes through 10 people before it gets through us. Maybe that's a bit selfish, but trying to speak and try to see if I can help figure out those issues before it gets back to me. I'd rather have a game where I don't touch the ball at all, instead of making 20, 30 saves and look like the best man. I don't want to do that. Sometimes making the life easy is kind of the best part. So seeing if I can talk to my own coach or even the tactical side of coaches and seeing how can we change the defensive standpoint, or how can we prevent things from happening and help out my defensive line. Get very comfortable with them, especially when you're at ID camps. If you can go up and go talk to people and be like, hey, what's your name? I'm this, I'm that. What do you play? Where are you playing at? And then from there, we can sort things out, try to get comfortable. With recruits coming in, we tell them to talk. I love yelling, even if your voice is gone at the end. Getting comfortable it's hard. It's definitely hard. If you can talk more and to the point where it actually helps out one thing, and then you see how that falls in line, and keep on trying. It's not something that's just gonna go over in one practice, but it does take time. Trying to get comfortable just yelling or saying things, what can fix.
Very good. Just a couple more, and these are great questions that have come in. Both of you can answer this real quick. Do you have a favorite pair or brand of goalie gloves?
West Coast goalkeeper gloves are definitely my favorite. So, yeah.
Okay.
I have been wearing Adidas gloves for a very long time. I've been wearing specifically the Adidas like Predator gloves. I've been wearing those a lot. But I think now we're switching to Nike, so I'll have to get adjusted to that and see how that goes. But
I was going to ask that. So they won't let you wear
Yeah.
Adidas if you're wearing Nike, if the team's
Yeah.
sponsored by Nike.
Right now, I want to try Puma. Actually, I've been seeing those. I actually want to see how this feels like. But right now, I do. I wear Adidas all the time.
Adidas and West Coast gloves. Is that what you said, Riley?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So the last one is, how does your relationship with your teammates affect the play of the game?
I would say that your relationship with your teammates is really important. I think a big part of my team's success and past team success has been team chemistry. I think that the best teams are the teams that truly have like a great relationship with each other and really want each other to succeed, no matter if you're on the bench or on the field, you get 5 minutes, you play the whole game. I think that the most like successful teams are the ones that truly have the best team chemistry. So that's something that's really important. And even though that you might be a goalkeeper and you might feel a little bit alienated from your teammates, trying to become as close with them, with the defenders, with the midfielders, with the forwards is like still just all around going to make your team so much better than kind of separating yourself because you think that you're different.
Good. Jeff, this last question will be for you. Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you touch on that?
I think connecting with your teammates is very, very big, especially outside of soccer. There's times where our team, again, we are focused a lot on culture and how do we interact with each other outside of soccer. Because at the end of the day, soccer, yes, is our hobby, but it's also our job. And you kind of want to get away from that sometimes. I'm not a guy who likes to talk about soccer day in, day out. I like taking my breaks and kind of enjoying my time. So for us, we'll sit down, try to pull even our new guys, our freshmen, try to pull them away and sit down and be like, hey, let's go get something small to eat or come over for dinner and sit there and try to interact and try to build a chemistry or a trust with that person. Because if they can trust you outside to open up about whatever's bothering them outside of soccer, same would go on the field as well, that they would trust you.
Okay, and the last question, Jeff, what do you do to help yourself prevent injuries?
So for here, we have a athletic training room where I get treatment all the time from our trainers, which can be ice baths, which I dread. I hate the cold. It's one of my weaknesses. But from cupping or rolling out or trying to find any type of stretch that you can do to try to work things out. Like for me, I have something up with my shoulder, but day in and day out, I have to go in. I do small exercises, which could just be a band doing that or anything possible. I used to sleep on just stretching. I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, but coming now, stretching before practice or spending more time, especially even in the gym or lifting, of stretching or looking after your body, making sure that you're eating quite enough, eating more. For here, some of our teammates will talk about that they need to eat more, but they have a fast metabolism. And how do you do that? And it's kind of just eat more. Look at eating, at least for here at the college level, is kind of like your second training. You got to make sure that you have to eat the right stuff, or you're eating at the right times. And sometimes eating 3 meals a day just might not be enough. You might have to push the 4 or have little snacks throughout the day if you have 3 classes back to back. It's kind of hard to get that food in. But making sure and looking after your body is the best part.
Okay, well, that concludes our roundtable discussion. I appreciate everybody's interest, and I appreciate all the questions that were submitted, because I thought that they were great ones. Jeff and Riley, I can't thank you enough. I know you're busy. But, you know, spending this last hour with us has been super valuable. I think the knowledge that you've shared with all our goalkeepers has been fantastic and will go a long way. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. And anytime you want to stop by goalkeeper practice or, you know, come to some of our camps, anytime, we'd love to have you and introduce you to some of our goalkeepers. But again, this has been really helpful, and best of luck, and we'll definitely continue to follow you in your programs. All righty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody, and we'll see everybody on the fields again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.